The Brood, a folk horror. Written by huntalex. So grab your coffee, sit back, and enjoy the show. Entry 1. I've cracked eggs my whole life, but none ever blinked at me. I live on a small holding in the Welsh borderlands. 4 acres, a few goats, a tangle of bush, a ramshackle coop, and a rooster named Grigsby who thinks he owns the place. No neighbors, no grid, just the land and whatever's always lived under it. It was quiet until the eggs changed. It started with the odd ones, a yolk as viscous like tar. One came out hollow, another had something hard inside, like a tooth but not any mammals. The hens started acting strange, huddling, flinching, pecking at things I couldn't see. Then came the toads. Dozens of them, fat, glossy, and silent, sitting in a ring around the coop, always facing in, never croaking. Some I found in the chicken coop, often atop of these strange eggs as if they were brooding them. The wildlife froze, literally. A heron in the marsh, still mid-stretch. A roe deer locked in a running pose, stiff and warm, as if life had just paused. They didn't decay, just stood there, unmoving, unblinking. Then the eggs began to hum. I'd hear it at night, low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat heard through a wall. I threw them out, every time they came back. One egg I found wasn't like that of a chicken or any bird, really. It was leathery, like you would see in the egg of a turtle or a crocodile. Wales isn't actually a hotspot for the members of the class Reptilia, only home to 4 species of snake, adder, grass, smooth, and the introduced Aesculapian, and 3 species of lizard, sand, viviparous, and slowworm. No egg seemed to match the description of whatever I found in the coop. I cracked it open under candlelight. Something inside blinked. Entry 2. I called Isla, my cousin. She's a livestock vet, no nonsense and sharp as vinegar. She arrived the next morning from Aberystwyth, muddy boots and skeptical eyes. She took at the egg, held it to the light, and went pale. You're right. This isn't avian by nature, she whispered. It's reptilian. But it has placodes. What my cousin meant, placodes are embryonic structures give rise to structure of feathers. That night we dug into books of British fauna and books on reptiles in general, in case my coop was harboring some escaped exotic pet or a zoo animal. After some difficulty, we resorted to books on folklore and what you know. We found something. In an old medieval bestiary we borrowed from the library, one page caught our attention. The cockatrice, a vile creature described as a 2-legged dragon with a rooster's head, bat-like wings, and a serpent's tail. This abomination is said to be hatched from an egg brooded by a toad or a snake. The cockatrice is said to kill its victim with its gaze or its breath. There were other mentions of a cockatrice hatching from an egg of a rooster, which is complete nonsense, instantly dying upon hearing the crow of a rooster, seeing its reflection in a mirror, or by the bite or musk of a weasel. We decided to call it a night, decided to carry on our research in the morning. Isla slept on the couch while my border collie, Max, and my tomcat, Custard, gave her company for the night. I didn't sleep. Something was shifting in the walls, in the floor. I swear I heard footsteps in the attic. Then I remember I don't have an attic. The next day, I found something wedged in the crawl space above the hearth, an old family Bible warped in mildew. Between its pages, handwritten notes. If the hen lays beneath the red moon, take no eggs till the next frost. Bury what stirs. Never build where the hedge parts itself. Bar the coop at dusk, burn what blinks. There were dates. 1911, 1946, 1972. Always early spring, always a bad year for eggs. We were warned. Entry 3. The coop began to change. Feathers in the rafters, long and ink black. Dust stirred without cause. The straw moved like something was nesting beneath it. I stopped recognizing my own reflection. Sometimes it didn't have move when I did. Once it blinked after I turned away. The animals froze. A goat mid-step, my neighbor's cat in mid-pounce, stiff and starting east, toward the coop. Isla said we had to burn it. That night. But the marches wouldn't light. The lighter sparked and died. The wind rose, sudden and sharp, curling back into the coop like breath. Entry 4. The night before Isla vanished, I found Grigsby dead. My old English game was a mean bastard, proud and loud, impossible to handle, but he never backed away from a fox or a dog. His crow was like an alarm bell, a sentinel for the yard. He wasn't just dead. He'd been split. Not torn apart, not by claws or teeth. His chest was opened clean like something had unzipped him from beak to vent. No struggle in the straw. Just feathers and an absence. His heart was missing. Not eaten, not damaged, just gone. A hollow place where it should have been, as if it had been scooped out with careful fingers. The hens didn't make a sound. They stood there silent, staring at the body. Something was moving in the rafters. I looked up, too slow, just a flicker of motion, a sound like dry paper against wood. When I looked back down, some of the feathers were gone. Taken. Or maybe reclaimed. I buried him under the hawthorn tree, said nothing. I couldn't. Because when I touched him, I felt something. Not warmth, not life. Something waiting. While digging to bury Grigsby, my spade struck something hard beneath the roots. An iron box, rusted shut. Inside was a strange, charm-twisted circle of bone and feathers bound by black thread, and a faded note. Against the brood's watching eye, bind the land with fire and salt. The hedge knows, the hedge waits. I hung the charm above the coop door. That night I dreamt of a woman, wrinkled hands, cold eyes, whispering warnings in Old Welsh I couldn't understand. Entry 5. Isla disappeared that night. Her car had been found abandoned down the lane. Door open, engine still warm. On the driver's seat, feathers, curled and faintly smoking. I searched the hedgerows until dawn. Nothing. The coop was silent. No hens, no Grigsby, no sound. Entry 6. A week later, my old friend Gareth visited. He's a ferreter, uses ferrets to catch his rabbits, brought 2 of his best, Bramble and Thistle. As we approached the coop, the ferrets grew restless, their bodies tensed, eyes wide, mouths salivating excessively. Suddenly, they turned on Gareth, biting and clawing, forcing them to release them. They bolted into the hedgerow, disappearing into the underbrush. Minutes later, they returned, empty-mouthed, emitting high-pitched, frustrated squeals. Gareth was bewildered. "They've never acted like that," he muttered, nursing his wounds. "It's like they were possessed." I said nothing, but I remembered the old tales. Entry 7. I thought I buried Grigsby, but 3 nights after the burial I heard him crow. Not from the coop, from the hedgerow. It was distorted, lower, slower, like a record playing half speed. The goats bleated and scattered. The hens froze in their roosts. I lighted the lantern and stepped outside. It was standing by the hawthorn. At first I thought it was just a fox dragging Grigsby's carcass, but the way it moved, jerky but upright, no, it wasn't a fox. It stood, proud and tall, like a man trying to remember how legs worked. Feathers matted with black muck, the chest still split open, something curled inside the hollow where his heart had been twitching, rhythmic, like a second egg, or a lung. Its eyes were bright yellow, same as the ones that blinked in the wire. It didn't crow again, just stared, then vanished back into the hedge. I didn't follow. Entry 8. My hands are wrong. They shake when I hold a spoon. My nails have thickened. There's a crack down the center of one thumb, and something pale peeking out beneath it. Sometimes I catch myself scratching behind my ear with my foot. I don't notice until it's too late. There's a patch of scales beneath my ribs, just above the heart. Soft for now, but spreading. Sometimes I hum when I sleep, the same rhythm the eggs made. Entry 9. It's not over. The original egg hatched, yes, but there are more. I dug in the ash beneath the coop. 6 perfect ovals, black-shelled, warm, pulse-throbbing, each with a perfection that doesn't match mine. One of them had Isla's face, the next Grigsby, the third looks like me, but older, smiling. They're not just hatching creatures, they're hatching futures. Entry 10. The hedge thickens. It grows wild and dark like it's breathing. The fog never lifts. Mornings come with a cold, wet silence. The chickens don't cluck anymore. Sometimes I hear distant cries like a crow but wrong, echoing from the deep woods. Animals avoid the land completely. Even the fox and the polecat steer clear. Entry 11. I tried burning sage, salt circles, crossed bones and herbs tied to the coop. The air turned bitter. The smoke rose in unnatural patterns, shapes that writhed and flickered like tiny serpents. The next morning, the charm I hung was shattered on the floor, the coop door wide open. Entry 12. The coop was silent. I took my lantern, stepped into the straw. Dog-sized, scaled skin under feathered armor, talons like black iron, wings tucked tight, its head turned slowly toward me, eyes yolk yellow, burning with recognition. The cockatrice, the small dragon with the evil eye said to kill all animal life and plant life, the devil's rooster. I couldn't move, every muscle locked, my arms hung loose. I tried to scream, but only a wheeze came out. It tilted its head, then walked past me, and I stayed frozen. Frozen. Entry 13. My neighbor, Mrs. Llewellyn, found me a day later, standing in the middle of the field, upright, staring east, breathing but not blinking, my eyes wide, dry and blurry with swelling corneas, my mouth slack and dehydrated. I wanted to warn her about the cockatrice, to get away as far as she can from this place, but I couldn't. She called an ambulance. I didn't respond, but my pulse held steady, skin warm, muscles stiff. On our way, I caught a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye, a weasel dragging something into the hedge, feathers and scales, a serpent-like tail, a fleshy comb, a toothed beak, and those eyes, those evil eyes, now a dull yellow. The monster that terrorized my homestead was now slain. A litter of weasel kits were waiting for their breakfast at the edge, chirping, trilling, and squealing as if cockatrice was the best food a weasel could ever taste. Mrs. Llewellyn saw it too. She didn't say anything. She helped lock up the coop for me as I was being taken. I was finally free of that demon. For once I was actually pleased to see a weasel on my land. Final entry. I was brought to Wrexham Mailer Hospital. No signs of trauma, no illness, but I wouldn't move, wouldn't speak. I just stared. Always east. The nurses thought it was catatonia, but every time they turned their backs, the machines would flicker. The EKG would shift in rhythm, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Then I started humming. Low, familiar, a sound like eggshells cracking from the inside. They moved me to a private room after that, said I was disturbing the other patients. They ran tests, MRIs, CT scans, found nothing wrong, but every scan of my chest came back, blurred, like the lens couldn't focus. A junior nurse local girl, maybe 19, told me something strange. My gran used to say never crack an egg in the dark, she whispered one night, changing my IV. She'd say if you hear it thumping, don't touch it. Let the stoats and weasels handle it. She didn't return after that shift. I'm writing this now from the ward. They think I'm recovering. I can move again, talk, eat. But something's still inside me, waiting. The doctors don't believe in curses, in brood charms, in whispering toads and shadow-eyed hens. But you do. If you've read this far, you do. So listen closely. Never leave a coop open under a red moon. If your rooster dies and is missing a heart, bury him far from the hedge. If a egg hums, do not, and I mean do not keep it. If it blinks, burn it. And most of all, if you find a weasel near the henhouse, don't chase it off. It might be the only thing standing between you and the brood. Sometimes the smallest things, a weasel in the grass, a crack in the egg, are all that stands between your farm and a thing that should never hatch. Not all monsters crawl from the woods. Some are already waiting in the nest box. Hey family, a very big thank you to huntalex for allowing me to narrate such an awesome tale. Be sure to check out their Reddit profile for more of their awesome works. If you would like to support us and make a donation, I'd be very much appreciative. I do have PayPal and a Buy Me a Coffee account. Be sure to also check out our merch store. There are plenty of items and designs to choose from. If you enjoyed this video, then why not check out the next one? Here, on the right-hand side. You can also follow us. All my socials and all my other links are contained within the Linktree link below. Take care, everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful and peaceful night. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.